The moment Papoose and Fabolous publicly suggested that 50 Cent needs to rap, the internet erupted. Fans instantly debated, was this playful banter or a serious challenge to one of the most iconic figures in hip-hop history? But if you think this was just another comment, think again. 50 Cent doesn't respond to just anyone. And when he does, the response isn't casual. It's sharp, strategic, and unforgettable. In this video, we break down how 50 Cent didn't just fire back. He dropped a message that shook the rap world. His words were clear. He's not chasing anyone's approval. He's not jumping into every diss, and he doesn't play games with legends. When you get a hit, I'll respond wasn't just a comeback, it was a mic drop moment, showing confidence, experience, and a reminder of why 50 Cent remains untouchable. We'll also dive into the context behind Papoose and Fabolous remarks, the tension this created on social media, and the fan reactions that immediately split the community. Memes, commentary, and debates exploded across Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, and the real lesson is about timing, respect, and legacy in the rap game. Stick around, because in the next few minutes, you'll see exactly why 50 Cent's response isn't just a clapback, it's a statement. This isn't just about who won or lost, it's about power, influence, and staying relevant in a game that constantly tests legends. When Papoose and Fabolous publicly suggested that 50 Cent needs to rap, the hip-hop community erupted instantly. Fans, analysts, and casual listeners alike rushed to social media, debating whether this was a playful jab, a serious challenge, or just commentary meant to stir drama. But anyone who knows 50 Cent understands one thing. He doesn't respond to empty talk, and when he does, the message lands like a hammer. The context behind Papoose and Fabolous remarks is important. Over the years, both rappers have maintained strong reputations for lyricism, longevity, and respect in the streets and online. By publicly questioning 50 Cent's relevance in the current rap landscape, they weren't just making a statement, they were throwing a gauntlet, challenging a legend to prove he still belongs at the top. And in hip-hop, challenging a legend doesn't go unnoticed. 50 Cent's response was precise, direct, and delivered with the kind of confidence that only decades of dominance can give. When you get a hit, I'll respond, he said, cutting through the noise and sending a message that was loud and clear. He doesn't chase anyone's approval, and he doesn't have to prove anything to anyone. This wasn't just a clapback. It was a reminder of his status, his business acumen, and his strategic approach to the game. Unlike younger artists who may feel compelled to respond impulsively, 50 Cent's reply is calculated and measured. It shows the difference between someone who reacts emotionally and someone who understands leverage, timing, and the long-term impact of their words. Every syllable of his comeback was designed to maintain authority while subtly putting Papoose and Fabolous in their place. Social media didn't take long to react. Twitter threads exploded, memes circulated Instagram, and TikTok creators began breaking down his statement line by line. Fans praised the precision, some debated the merit, and others just enjoyed the spectacle of watching a seasoned veteran handle public pressure without overcommitting. 50 Cent's reputation for being unshakable, even under criticism, became the focal point of discussions across platforms. But the drama didn't stop there. Industry insiders noted that the timing of this response was also strategic. 50 Cent didn't respond immediately after the comments. He waited. This delay increased anticipation, creating tension in the fan base and keeping everyone on edge. By responding at just the right moment, he ensured that his words would have maximum impact, a lesson in patience and psychological warfare in hip-hop. The streets and music circles also had strong opinions. Loyal 50 Cent fans praised the response as a classic example of why he remains relevant, while others used it as fuel to debate whether Papoose and Fabolous were right to make their remarks in the first place. Every reaction amplified the narrative, showing how a single statement from a legendary artist can ripple through the culture and dominate conversations for days. Beyond the public reaction, there's another layer to consider: business and influence. 50 Cent isn't just a rapper, he's an entrepreneur, a mogul, and a media personality. His responses are never just verbal, They carry weight in terms of perception, networking, and positioning within the industry. By delivering a concise, confident clapback, he reinforced not only his credibility, but also his strategic advantage in controlling narratives around his legacy. Meanwhile, Papoose and Fabolous were put in a position where they had to decide whether to escalate or step back. Any response from them would be scrutinized against 50 Cent's carefully crafted statement. In many ways, this illustrates a broader principle in hip-hop. Reputation is currency, and public responses must be measured or risk devaluation. Fans notice subtle nuances in the delivery of 50 Cent's statement. The tone, the timing, and even the phrasing, "when you get a hit, I'll respond," were not accidental. It suggested that he acknowledges their success in passing, but also reminds them, and everyone watching, that influence and relevance aren't given, they're earned. It was a masterclass in blending confidence with subtle humility, dominance with restraint, and respect with authority. As the conversation progressed online, discussions expanded beyond just the artists themselves. Analysts, bloggers, and YouTube commentators debated the implications of 50 Cent's comeback. Was it enough to assert dominance over two respected lyricists? Would it spark further responses? Could it affect collaborations, street perception, or even social media engagement in the coming weeks? Each layer of debate reinforced the idea that one well-timed, well-crafted statement can dominate a culture conversation. Moreover, this moment is also a lesson in generational influence. 50 Cent, as a seasoned veteran, understands that public feuds are not only about words, but also about legacy, perception, and strategy. Younger artists may feel compelled to react emotionally, but veterans like him know the power of measured communication. By staying composed and letting his words carry the weight, he not only addresses the diss, but also reminds the industry why he remains untouchable. Finally, this situation shows the multidimensional nature of hip-hop beef today. It's not just about the music anymore. Social media, memes, commentary, fan debates, and industry reactions all play into the narrative. A single line like 50 Cent's, "when you get a hit, I'll respond," can dominate platforms for days, affect public perception, and even influence business opportunities for all involved. In conclusion, 50 Cent's response was more than a clapback, it was a strategic masterstroke. It reinforced his dominance, highlighted the contrast between experience and impatience, and showed the world why he remains one of the most respected figures in hip-hop. For Papoose, Fabolous, and fans alike, this moment is a reminder that words matter, timing matters, and in hip-hop, respect is earned, not demanded. The next moves from Papoose and Fabolous, combined with fan reactions and social media analysis, will determine whether this beef escalates, fades, or becomes a defining moment in modern rap history. Stay tuned, because the story isn't over yet. As soon as 50 Cent dropped his infamous line, "when you get a hit, I'll respond," the rap world didn't just notice, it erupted. Fans across Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok scrambled to dissect every nuance of the comeback. Memes started popping up immediately, highlighting 50 Cent's signature confidence and the subtle shade thrown at Papoose and Fabolous. The reaction wasn't just about a quote, it was about power, legacy, and influence in hip-hop, all condensed into a single, mic-drop-worthy statement. Papooses' initial reaction was measured. In interviews and on social media, he tried to frame the situation as lighthearted banter, but anyone following the scene closely could tell there was more beneath the surface. Known for his lyrical prowess and history of street credibility, Papoose suddenly found himself in a position where every word and gesture was being scrutinized. Each tweet and public comment was dissected by fans looking for cracks in his composure. His attempt to downplay the situation only added fuel to the fire, with many arguing that 50 Cent had successfully shifted the narrative in his favor. Fabolous, on the other hand, took a different approach. Rather than issuing immediate commentary, he remained mostly silent, letting the buzz around social media take its course. While some fans applauded his restraint, others criticized him for not responding, interpreting his silence as an acknowledgement of 50 Cent's dominance. Yet, even in this silence, Fabolous' presence in the narrative maintained tension, because the public was left wondering if he'd drop a track, a comment, or some behind-the-scenes move to counter 50 Cent's statement. Meanwhile, the streets and online forums were exploding. Fans debated endlessly who won this back and forth. Some praised 50 Cent's strategy, applauding how he didn't need to overexert or release a track to make a point. Others questioned whether Papoose and Fabolous should have reacted differently, arguing that the younger artists could have leveraged the moment to assert their relevance. Across YouTube, meme compilations, reaction videos, and fan breakdowns multiplied, turning this small interaction into weeks-long trending content. Industry insiders weighed in as well. A veteran producer explained, 50 Cent's response wasn't just a clap back, it was a lesson in influence and positioning. He reminded everyone who controls the narrative without needing to overreact. That's how legends stay legends. The commentary wasn't limited to fans or street circles. Music journalists and analysts took notice, publishing breakdowns of the strategy behind 50 Cent's statement and its potential ripple effect on future collaborations and label politics. The social media storm wasn't just commentary, it had real consequences. Every brand, manager, and fellow artist watching closely began recalculating their alliances. Hip-hop is as much about influence and perception as it is about talent, and 50 Cent's carefully worded comeback reminded everyone of the currency of reputation. Artists who had previously stayed neutral were now forced to pick sides, subtly or publicly, knowing that public alignment could affect future collaborations, tour opportunities, and street credibility. Meanwhile, memes became a cultural phenomenon. The line, "When you get a hit, I'll respond," was transformed into reaction GIFs, TikTok trends, and Instagram story templates. Fans recreated the phrasing, inserting themselves, other artists, or humorous situations into the format. Within days, the phrase had transcended the original beef. It was now a cultural talking point, quoted across platforms even by casual listeners who didn't follow the original conversation. At the same time, analysts pointed out the generational dynamics at play. 50 Cent, as a veteran of the game, understood the power of restraint, timing, and legacy. Papoose and Fabolous, while respected and talented, had stepped into a space where younger fans and social media amplifications could twist even minor comments into major controversies. 50 Cent's approach demonstrated that sometimes the most effective response isn't reactive rage, but calculated authority. The feud also sparked internal discussions among artists about respect and relevance. Many rappers posted subtle messages online, hinting at lessons learned from the exchange without directly engaging in the drama. These indirect reactions reinforced the notion that hip-hop is as much about strategy, perception, and psychological dominance as it is about lyrical skill or record sales. In the following days, multiple reaction videos and breakdowns appeared online. YouTubers dissected the statement line by line, analyzing delivery, tone, and timing. TikTok users created skits, memes, and commentary videos, making the clip go viral yet again. Even mainstream media picked up on the story, highlighting it as a key moment in modern rap culture, a rare example of how a simple statement can dominate public discourse and redefine narrative control. Papoose eventually responded, trying to clarify the intent behind his original comment, but the moment had already passed. 50 Cent's phrasing was precise enough to dominate the conversation, leaving the public convinced that he had the upper hand not through insults or aggression, but through superior timing and positioning. Fabolous' silence continued to add intrigue, keeping fans speculating and debates alive. By the end of this first wave of fallout, several key lessons were clear. Timing matters more than reaction. Waiting for the right moment amplified 50 Cent's impact. Legacy and authority outweigh immediate responses. Experience allows strategic, measured comebacks. Public perception is the battlefield. Social media, memes, and fan discussions can elevate or diminish a statement. Influence is currency. Artists watching the exchange recalibrated alliances and opportunities. Emphasizes that while 50 Cent's words were short, their impact was massive. What could have been a small jab became a full-blown cultural phenomenon analyzed, memed, and discussed across platforms worldwide. The feud wasn't just entertainment, it was a lesson in how a legendary artist maintains dominance in a fast-moving, digitally amplified rap industry. The long-term fallout, industry reactions, and the potential next moves of Papoose, Fabolous, and 50 Cent, as well as the deeper implications for legacy, street credibility, and social media power. The story is far from over, and the next chapter promises even more explosive developments in modern hip-hop drama. By the time the initial dust settled from 50 Cent's calculated response, the landscape of the rap community had shifted dramatically. Social media was still buzzing, memes continued to circulate, and industry analysts dissected every word of the statement. But beyond the online chaos, what really mattered was the long-term impact on legacy, respect, and influence, the elements that truly define a legend. 50 Cent's comeback, "When you get a hit, I'll respond," was more than a clever clapback. It was a strategic maneuver designed to assert dominance without overexertion. Whereas Papoose and Fabolous had initiated the commentary, 50 Cent's words carried weight because they were rooted in decades of experience, influence, and credibility. He understood the power of restraint, knowing that a short, precise statement would resonate louder than a drawn-out argument. The reaction from Papoose was cautious. Behind the public-facing statements and social media posts, sources say he spent hours consulting with his team about how to handle the backlash. While he attempted to clarify the original intent of his comments, framing them as playful critique rather than disrespect, the momentum had already swung in 50 Cent's favor. Public perception is notoriously difficult to reverse once a narrative takes hold, and in this case, 50 Cent had mastered narrative control. Fabolous, meanwhile, continued his silent approach. While some fans criticized his lack of response, many industry insiders recognized the wisdom in his restraint. By not immediately escalating, Fabolous avoided adding fuel to a fire that was already raging out of control. However, silence can also be interpreted as acquiescence, and in this scenario, fans and analysts debated endlessly. Had Fabolous conceded the narrative to 50 Cent, or was he simply playing a long game? The broader impact extended far beyond the three artists directly involved. Fans, especially younger listeners, witnessed a live lesson in strategy, influence, and legacy in hip-hop. Comments flooded YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, with fans debating the meaning of 50 Cent's response, creating reaction videos, and generating memes that would circulate for weeks. Street culture absorbed the moment as well. In urban communities where respect and reputation carry tangible weight, 50 Cent's measured response became a talking point for loyalty, authority, and credibility. Industry executives and producers weighed in, noting that this exchange highlights the interconnected nature of public perception and business in hip-hop. A single well-timed statement can influence collaborations, label relationships, and even sponsorships. 50 Cent's strategic communication demonstrated that in the modern rap ecosystem, words are more than entertainment, they're assets. Meanwhile, memes and viral content ensured that the moment remained relevant. TikTok skits, Instagram story reactions, and YouTube breakdowns turned the statement into a cultural moment. The phrasing, tone, and timing of 50 Cent's line were repeated, remixed, and reimagined, further solidifying the dominance of his response. It wasn't just fans reacting. The moment became a template for digital-age rap commentary, illustrating how legends maintain influence without dropping an actual track. For Papoose and Fabolous, this entire saga became a lesson in navigating public feuds and maintaining legacy. While their initial comments sparked discussion, 50 Cent's approach showcased a key principle in the modern rap industry. It's not just about what you say, but when, how, and in what context you say it. Even seasoned artists must balance immediate reactions with long-term consequences, and 50 Cent's calculated precision proved why he remains one of the most formidable figures in hip-hop. The fallout also had implications for street credibility and fan perception. 50 Cent's statement reminded the community that respect is earned through strategy, timing, and a proven track record, not just lyricism or popularity. For the younger generation observing the feud, it was a lesson in patience, confidence, and psychological dominance, showing that sometimes silence combined with precision speaks louder than reactionary aggression. By this stage, the narrative had expanded beyond a simple clash between three artists. It became a cultural case study in influence, reputation management, and the modern mechanics of hip-hop drama. Every tweet, comment, and reaction video became part of the larger story, demonstrating how social media amplifies even short, calculated statements into viral moments. The industry watches these moments closely, learning from the strategies employed and the public response generated. As weeks went on, analysts revisited the exchange, pointing out the subtle genius in 50 Cent's phrasing. "When you get a hit, I'll respond" carried multiple layers. It acknowledged the other artist's accomplishments while simultaneously asserting 50 Cent's superior experience, patience, and control. It was not just a comeback, it was a masterclass in narrative dominance. Finally, the lesson of this saga is clear. In modern hip-hop, legacy, timing, and strategy matter more than impulsive reactions. 50 Cent's response reinforced his authority, maintained his influence, and reminded both fans and fellow artists that in this game, control of the narrative is everything. Papoose and Fabolous may have sparked the conversation, but 50 Cent dictated its trajectory and long-term impact. Wrapping up the final fallout, social media reactions, and industry implications. The series shows a clear roadmap of how modern hip-hop beefs unfold: initial comment, precise response, viral amplification, fan engagement, and finally, lessons on legacy and strategy. For anyone following the saga, it's clear that 50 Cent's influence and authority remain unmatched, even decades into his career. Now that you've seen the full saga, from Papoose and Fabolous questioning 50 Cent to his perfectly timed clapback, the reactions, the memes, and the industry fallout, it's clear why strategy, timing, and legacy matter more than raw words in hip-hop. But this isn't just about drama. It's a lesson for every fan, every aspiring artist, and everyone watching the streets and the culture evolve. If you're serious about understanding how legends maintain dominance, how social media amplifies every move, and how every comment or reaction can affect influence and credibility, then this series is your ultimate guide. From part 1 to part 3, you've witnessed how a single statement from a legend like 50 Cent can ripple across the streets, online communities, and the entire music industry, shaping narratives, sparking debates, and even affecting future collaborations. So here's what you need to do next. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the breakdown and the inside look at this epic feud. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next major hip-hop clash or exclusive behind-the-scenes insight. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think 50 Cent completely dominated this situation, or should Papoose and Fabolous have played their cards differently? And don't forget to share this series with your crew. This is the kind of legendary content every hip-hop fan needs to see. Stay tuned, because the world of rap is always evolving, and the next big drama is never far away. Your engagement keeps the culture alive, the conversation heated, and the stories flowing. Be part of it. Like, comment, subscribe, and share, and keep watching as we bring you the latest, raw, and unfiltered hip-hop action.